get started. Good morning, Colorado Springs. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning and saying hello to us. We're trying to keep you engaged as a community, and we're back for our regular scheduled programming today. So we've got two amazing presenters lined up for you. We do want to go ahead and tell you guys, first off, we are streaming live to our Facebook page. So make sure that you comment in our chat box below with any questions, concerns, or anything that you have so we can make sure that we answer all of those questions accordingly, okay? All right, guys. So Mac is not online yet, but we do want to go ahead and thank our coffee roaster of the month, which is Eagle and Crane Coffee. I believe Mac is actually going to be doing a discount program or subscription offer for all of our Cup viewers. So you guys will get that information shared to you. So if you would like to try the Eagle and Crane Coffee and you have not attended in the past, we'll be able to do that for you, right? So, and we'll go ahead and get started, guys. Our first presenter today is Greg Sheldon with Auto Shop Vocational. It's awfully loud. Greg, you ready?
Sure am.
All right. Well, we're ready when you are. Take it away, sir.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully everybody is doing okay with this COVID-19 quarantine. I am thriving. You know, it's all about kind of your mindset. And if you find this as a negative interaction and a negative situation that we're all placed in as a planet, then you're going to come out in a negative way. If you find it out to be a positive interaction and a positive, situation that we are in our planet, then hey, you're going to thrive as well. So that being said, my name is Greg 3G Sheldon. Most of you guys know me. I haven't been in 1 Million Cups for a few months because I had a commitment to be a long-term auto shop teacher substitute at Wasson High School, a local public school. And so I was a social worker for many years. I realized that I had this ability to capture people's attention and respect very quickly. And once you have that, you can teach them whatever you want. So I have had octane running through my blood since I was a kid. I've taken apart RC cars, toy cars, motorcycles, full-size cars. I mean, if you guys look around quickly, you can see we've got motorcycles all around in my garage. We are in my garage because that's my favorite place to be in my house. So you guys are here with me. I don't think I've ever had a dozen or however many people are watching in this garage with me. But so along my journey as an auto shop or as a social worker, I realized that I wanted to become an auto shop teacher. I want to have as much impact on the community and with the kids that I work with, typically troubled kids, as I could. And I could have gone back to school to get my master's or, and then, gotten my MSW and things like that. But that really wasn't for me. I'm a hands-on type of guy. I'm an experience-based learner, not a knowledge-based learner. We'll talk about that in a minute. And so I really wanted to have an impact with the kids. So I realized that becoming an auto shop teacher and teaching them a skill or a trade was something that I really was passionate about. So in 2011, I quit my social work job, enrolled in an automotive tech school out east in Massachusetts called Porter and Chester. And so the biggest thing I learned there was how not to be an auto shop teacher, which is a very valuable lesson, but not worth the money. So anyways, after that, I worked at a couple of independent shops. I worked at a Dodge dealership, and I ended up at a Midas back in Massachusetts. And I've loved Subarus since day one. I've had a little turbo WRX for a long, long time, and that has made me want to work for Subaru. So while I was in Massachusetts, I applied to every Subaru dealership in a 1,500-mile radius of Massachusetts, and ended up in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. That place was not for me. It's not really for a guy of my personality, for those of you that know me. I'm an extrovert with some introvert tendencies. And so that really made it so that Wisconsin was miserable for me. It's not for everybody. Some people love and thrive there. However, for me, Greg 3G, it was not for me. So I applied to every Subaru dealership in Colorado. And the one here in town picked me up, paid for my travel to get here, put me up in a hotel for a couple weeks. That worked out for a while. We had a difference of opinion on a couple different things. So then I went to go manage a shop downtown, an automotive repair shop. So I got to see all of the industry. from sales to repair to management. And then I realized that I could go found my own school, because I always thought I was going to go work for a public school. And the last few months at the public school made me realize that, hey, I made the right decision in starting and developing my own program. So in 2017, I wrote a curriculum. I had students from a local charter school, and I had a shop that was basically given to me for $1 a month that had a classroom in it, and I put up lifts. And so I opened the doors to Auto Shop Vocational. I've had 2 or 3 successful sessions with 100% graduation rate. I have students who are thriving in the industry, and that's only one of my revenue streams. And another one is what I'm really working on now is called the Pit Stop Workshop, or Wine, Women, and Wheels. The Pit Stop Workshop is a 1-day, 2 or 3 hour class that I teach you how to jumpstart your car, change a spare tire, check your oil, what your dash lights mean, difference between summer, winter, and all season tires, and things like that. So if that's something that you or your kids or anybody that you know is interested in, please find me on Facebook. So the last, what I've really been working on since we've been in quarantine is car part art. I don't know if you guys can see my welder over here and some car part art stuff. So recently, for those that know me, I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. So I made a car part art motorcycle here, and I actually just cut it up yesterday. Kind of revamped it, and so it's looking a lot better than it was as the prototype. I have a bunch of them over here. But so this is my garage, and I love what I do. I have a crowdfunding that has membership referral based. I kind of coined my own crowdfunding. I started it about last year this time, and so members pay monthly or annual dues, and partners are small local businesses that give my members a discount on their services after, so that because they're getting high quality referrals from the members who are donating and helping my cause. So that's my crowdfunding. I make the car part art. And then the Pit Stop Workshop and Wine, Women, and Wheels class is what, once this quarantine is over, I'm going to hit the ground running. I have 3 or 4 of them that were already set up for May and June. And so if that's something that you're looking for is some education around that, that's something that we can work on. And so that's really about it. I know that the 6 minutes usually goes by really quickly, but I kind of got this down to a science at this point. So let's open this up to some questions.
Awesome. Great job, Greg. Now, Sam, how are we looking on comments? Anybody got any comments or questions so far for Greg?
Nothing yet. We prepped them. The questions and answers is coming up, so people can start making their questions there now and read them here. I know that one of the presenters has a question, or do you want me to ask that? What's in our thread here?
No, go ahead. If you've got something, go ahead.
I think you kind of addressed some of it, what you're doing during this isolation to keep busy. Was there something else that you were doing, Greg?
Well, one thing that I can suggest to everybody is, we can't go out and we can't go do fun things. We can't even go hiking. I can ride motorcycles a little bit. I feel a little guilty doing that because I'm still going out into the community. But if you have a creative side, really go towards that and really explore that. For me, it's welding car parts together. I don't say that I'm an artist because then I would have to go in through my house through the garage door because my head would be too big to fit through the front door. But I do make art. And if you had told me 3 years ago that I would be bringing art to an art show, I would have asked you, what color is the sky in your world? Because it's certainly not blue. But that actually happened, and that's part of my philosophy is that, and everybody knows that you know what you know some of what you don't know. And then there's this whole big base of knowledge, which is 75% or more of the knowledge that we have in our planet, is that you don't know what you don't know. And I've been so wrong so many times, up until this point. But all this information has been flooding into me. I feel like this gravitational force where good people have been flooding into me, into my world, like gravity. Like I'm a planet with gravity, with good people like just coming into my world. I graduated the Thrive Networks with Taj Stokes last year. I recently was asked to be on the board of the Thrive Networks. And I've been going through some personal development classes, and it really changes your life. As an entrepreneur, I was never a part of that. My father worked the same job for 40 years, and so that's what I knew, and that's what he always wanted for me. And so now he's come out here from Massachusetts and seen graduation, and he started, and he gets it. He understands the fact that I'm not going to go work the same job for 40 years. I don't think anybody does that anymore. I think typically people just work a few years or 5 or 10 years at a job and move on to the next one. But so that's kind of what I'm doing now. Getting your creative side out, and even if you have kids, teach them how to jumpstart your car, change a spare tire, do some maintenance on your car, check your brake pads, pull a tire off, and just to take a look at things. And especially if you have kids, teach them that skill, because not a lot of people are teaching them that. And if you have any questions about that, please just give me a shout, and I'll walk you through it. No problem.
Yeah, we do have a couple more questions online here. And actually, Greg, your dad's watching live on Facebook today, so that's a wonderful thing as well. And congrats on your personal development that has gone right into your business. That's exactly how it should be, so congrats on that.
Thank you.
Rick was asking, now I lost it in the head. Oh, yeah. Do you work on GTRs is what he wants to know.
I have driven a couple of GTRs, and I would be happy to take a look at it. There are certain, I won't be rebuilding your engine or changing your transmission, Rick, but I would be happy to do brake pads and spark plugs, regular maintenance type stuff. And especially if you let me road test it. We don't call it test driving in the automotive industry. We call it road testing. But I'd be happy to take a look at it for you, Rick. I know that's something that we've talked about a little bit in the past, but I'd be happy to, give that a look over. And anybody that needs any maintenance on their car, especially during this downtime, you won't need your car because you can't go anywhere. So you can bring it on over to my house or bring it to my shop on Garden of the Gods Road, and we can get you fixed up. Thank you, Rick. Good question.
I have a question for you, Greg. So, looking at education, especially such a hands-on type of education and what you do for your career and your business, how do you see our current situation today with COVID-19 and I say physical distancing because I refuse to social distance. Anyways, with the physical distancing of today's society, how do you see this impacting education, especially the hands-on type of education going forward?
That's a good question. So the Germans had it right. They talk about there's two different schools of thought with education. There's knowledge-based learning and experience-based learning. Knowledge-based learning is you read it, hear it, see it, and experience-based learning is you do it. And they say about 40% of people are experience-based learners. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't need to read anything or watch a video on something, you just go ahead and take it apart. That's me wholeheartedly. As an example, I really struggled in high school and college with languages and vocabulary and sheer memorization tasks. I can't regurgitate information that I was taught the day before very well. I have always struggled with that. But I can blindfold myself, take something apart, and put it back together like nobody else. So I think that with the current situation that we have, there's going to be a shift in people just doing things. If you have a problem with your toilet, just take it apart, fix it, figure out where the failure point is. If you have any questions, you can always YouTube it. So that's where the knowledge-based learning comes in, and the experience-based learning comes in by just taking it apart and pulling it. There's not enough plumbers. As you guys may or may not know, we have a shortage in skilled tradesmen, plumbers, HVAC techs, electricians, even culinary, CNA, nurses, all that stuff, and automotive. So actually, that's a good question, because what I'm developing is a big facility. I don't know if you guys know where the old Sam's Club is on 1700s South Academy, I believe. And so I'm looking to acquire that and having a plumbing, an automotive vocation at my school, electrical, HVAC, culinary, CNA, and all these types of trades in one building, utilizing my experience-based knowledge model, which is, we go over everything. I wrote a curriculum, but I didn't write a book. So what we do is in the class is we sit and we talk about the things, when it's brake week, we talk about pads and calipers and brake lines and your master cylinder and your pedal. So basically from your pedal to your wheel, there's like 5 different components. And so, we talk about them, and then we actually go, we pass them around, because I have a box for each week. And then we go and we bleed brakes, and we check brakes on a different car, or even do brakes. So that's where community cars come in, where if you guys need work done in your cars, you can bring it in, and we'll get you fixed up. Usually charge about half to 2/3 of what a normal shop would charge, but you're also giving the opportunity to the students to learn. And that was my most recent experience at the public school. I realized that I have the ability to bring in broken cars or cars that need work. I bring them into the school, and the kids work on them, and they have such an amazing sense of accomplishment from fixing other people's cars. I used to get that, but I've been turning wrenches for 20 plus years. And so it's really, the experience is what really makes education for me and about 40% of other people. So currently, I believe that once, this quarantine or house arrest, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it, from what I call the car owner virus is lifted, I hope to see that there's a lot more experience-based learning going on. And currently, without all the texts and all the textbooks and stuff like that in the schools, and they're doing video learning and stuff like that, that people will do more experience-based learning. I know students and kids aren't really going to go out and start turning wrenches on their car, but if that's something that we could get where they go and change a spare tire or change the oil in the car, that in their parents' car or even their car, that would make a considerable difference. And I'm working on an online series of teaching that content. Thank you.
Perfect, Greg. That's actually 2 of the questions that people are asking more specifically. You kind of touched on them, but Heather's wondering, do you plan on going virtual with your classes? And Linda's asking, have you produced any YouTube videos?
So I have a few YouTube videos. They're mostly about RC cars, and motorcycles. And so for the Pit Stop Workshop, I'm working with a good friend of mine who is a coach / online educational developer. I'm not really well versed in technology. I can rebuild an engine. I can change out a carburetor. I can do all that stuff. But when it comes to computers and I have a real deficit. Trying to learn, it's coming slowly to me because it's not natural, because I can't touch it. So that's something that I'm really working on. And especially the Pit Stop Workshop and the Wine, Women, and Wheels class is something that I'm trying to develop, or we're developing, so that I can distribute that. I don't know if it's going to be for free or if people are going to be charged a little bit for it. Hopefully we're going to make it, so I get a little bit of revenue from it. But those that know me know I'm an altruistic person that just wants to give everything away for nothing. But I do have bills to pay. So that being said, yes, there is some online content that I'm developing slowly. And so that makes it so that everybody throughout the world can, check it out, and anybody who speaks English, I guess, as well. But the other thing is that the Pit Stop Workshop is, like I said, a 2-3 hour class, 1-day class, and I'm hoping to license other people to teach that, so that people throughout the country can teach that to others. But my problem right now is that I don't know how to market it. I'm not a marketing guy. I don't understand that realm very well. So I don't want to license other people to teach that without teaching them how to sell it. So that's really where I'm stuck with the the online classes and things like that. So that's a good question. Thank you.
3G,
All right,
my
Greg,
good friend, I got a question for you.
Yes.
So what made you pick Colorado Springs over Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and Massachusetts, where you're from? Why'd you plant roots here?
Well, that's a pretty long question. I don't know how much time we have left, but so from Massachusetts, I was trying to get in my local Subaru dealership because, like I said earlier, I love Subarus. There's 3 or 4 different motors and like 5 or 6 different models. So when I worked at the Dodge dealership, there's 15 motors and 30 different models. So as a technician, you have to know everything about everything. You can look some stuff up on the computer and things like that, but so I really wanted to get in my local Subaru dealership. So that's when I applied several times. There was about 4 or 5 techs that had a combined experience of like 60 years, so nobody was going anywhere. And I was stuck working at a Midas. So I needed a change. I actually broke down in somebody's car, had tears coming out of my eyes. I was working at a Midas here. I'm with a bachelor's degree, went to tech school, you know, with these lofty dreams to become an auto shop teacher, changing oil in the inner city of Springfield, Massachusetts. And it just wasn't for me. It was a Saturday. My friends were all out camping, and I wanted to be out camping with them, but I had to go and work for 12, 13 bucks an hour changing oil. So I applied to every Subaru dealership in a 1,500-mile radius of Massachusetts, and Sheboygan, Wisconsin picked me up. After the application, 3 weeks later, I had my little Subaru with a 1,500-pound trailer behind me with this motorcycle over here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Toolbox over there. And so I was in Wisconsin, and it was just miserable. It's just like generations of alcoholism. I'm sorry if you're from there. I'm not trying to badmouth your hometown, but generations of alcoholism. People are just on cruise control. Just wasn't for me. It's, I didn't thrive there, and it was just a pretty miserable place. So then I applied to every Subaru dealership in Colorado because I'd been here a couple times skiing and whatnot, and I knew that place was much more to my liking, is the nicest way I could say that. And so the one here in town picked me up, and that's how I made it to Colorado Springs. And within 3 months, I believe, I had a 719 phone number because I knew that this place was definitely the best place that I had resided currently or until this point in my life. And here we are, and I don't plan on moving anytime soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Very cool. All right, I got a question for you, Greg. Now, I was there the night that you did the Thrive graduation. I think you graduated 4 or 5 people out of your program. How many people have you graduated so far through that program, and what is the time frame length of that program as well?
So I have a 100% graduation rate with 12 students who have graduated. 6 of them are currently working in the industry. One of them is fabs off-road Jeep and truck bumpers, push bars and stingers and stuff like that, if you know much about the off-road community. And so the other thing about my program is that it's 20 days. I teach people from not knowing what a socket and a ratchet is to being able to go and be viable in the automotive community in 20 days. Sometimes it's 10 weeks, twice a week. Other times it's 5 weeks, 4 days a week. And we always take Wednesdays off just so that I can come to 1 Million Cups. So thank you for that question. And, my graduates are nothing but good people. I've had kids from charter schools. I've had a special needs kid from Mosaic. I've had a felon from Tessa, and some veterans as well. The veterans really seem to have appreciated the time that I spent with them and teaching them where, the trade, and it really got them out of their funk for a little while. And one of them is still working through some of his issues, but we're really, I really have seen quite a change in him, and he's actually, we have plans for him to come here and teach him how to weld and make some of this car part art stuff, because it's a ton of fun, and it really is a good way to get your creative side out. So thank you. Anybody else have any questions for me?
Joe has a question. He's going to.
Yeah, Joe's got one.
Hey, Joe. Hello, Joe.
Looks like Joe might be frozen. Do we have
I've got
any more
one.
questions?
I got one.
Shoot.
Yeah. Greg, I've got somebody that I think would be a good person for you to get to know each other. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
So the best, if you want to send my information to him, you can go through text message or email. My cell phone number and should be in the link, Sam, which is 719-661-1663. And additionally, you can have him send me an email at greg@autoshopvocational.com. Or even, just send me a link through Facebook, or send me a message through Facebook. I catch those too. So
I'll instant message you.
Thank you.
Hey, Greg, I think I've got my computer to catch up here.
All right, cool.
Thanks for what you're doing. My family, I've got uncles and cousins that are doing exactly what you're doing. And it's, the interesting part for me is that line between the art and the science. As you're teaching these kids, you're probably well into the art piece, teaching them how to do things.
Right.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how you kind of show them the peek under the curtain on the art side so that it can really be a passion for them as they go through it?
So after the kids graduate the program, and sometimes if we have a little bit of downtime, I'll pull out the welder and teach them how to weld quickly. I have a MIG 135 Eastwood that was donated to me from my buddy Jeff Medved, a super cool cat. And so he kind of gave me a quick 5-minute tutorial as to how to MIG weld. So literally what I do is I bring the kids, over to the welder. I'm going to see if we can turn this a little bit. Over to the welder. And then I have gears like this that you can see all the welds in here. They're not very good welds, but this is what I use to teach. And then this you can see all here. This is going to be my business card holder. For those of you that have some of my business card holders, thank you for your support. And so I'm going to put a little head on this and put the business card holders on the side. But you can see that this is where a lot of students have learned how to weld. That's a pretty good weld. That's a poor weld, but they practice on these things so that's nice and easy. And teaching them to get their creative side out and being able to follow the lead. And then, once they have the skills to weld, I've had kids build tanks. We have a swing set, a little drummer boy. I make piston men, a skier, a golfer, and a fisherman, and things like that. And so one of my students, the first day that he had free reign over the welder, he made a little drummer boy, which not in a million years I would have never thought to make that. But that's what's great about it is that, with the welder, you can make anything that you want. You want to make a car, you want to make a truck, you want to make a motorcycle. Let me show this again. I'm pretty proud of this. I made this yesterday. And, we make business card holders and lamps and clocks and all sorts of stuff. So it really has been, it's a good way to get your creative outlet out. And a lot of times, a lot of people will tell you that having a creative outlet is one of the, it was one of the ways to really express yourself and being able to be fulfilled in life. Many people don't have a creative outlet. So that's why I really enjoy giving the students this ability to do that. And you should see some of the stuff, some of the items they've made. You can check it out on autoshopvocational.com or on my Instagram, which is autoshop_vocational. And the Instagram is mainly car part art. But thank you, Joe. That was a good question.
All right. Well, Greg, we're pretty much out of time. So we're going to go ahead and ask our super secret special question. What can we do as a Colorado Springs community to help support you?
Well, that's a really good question. Is that an original for you?
It is.
And
never heard that one, huh?
Thank you. Thank you, Brandy. I appreciate it. And so if you are interested in learning more about cars, or if you're interested in learning how to be able to be in an emergency situation, like change your tire and stuff like that, sign up for the Pit Stop Workshop. If you know somebody that would be interested in car part art, look me up or even give me a call. I make custom pieces as well. And that's really about it. If you know any students that are, people that want to learn and become part of the automotive community or automotive industry as a loop tech, send them my way. And if you need any work done on your car, come see me. Especially during this time, I got a lot of downtime. I'm making car part art, and I've got a full garage and a full toolbox here to fix and maintain your vehicles. So that's like 4 or 5 ways that you can support me in the school and what I'm building. Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on today. We'll make sure that we get you your mug and all that stuff whenever we're back and we can actually see each other in person.
It's quite an honor to be the first virtual presenter on 1 Million Cups Colorado Springs.
Yeah, and it wasn't an April Fool's joke.
I know I was going to throw some in there, but I figured, keep it on the upbeat. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
We will share, thank you so much, Greg. We will share Greg's information in the comments so you guys can find him online. Do not forget to follow him on all the social media channels. Reach out if you're looking for car part art, if you need some car maintenance, all that good stuff, right? So, Greg, have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. So we usually would have a media sponsor. This is where we're going to kind of do a little bit of a break. Our media sponsor right now, obviously, Zoom is kind of our go-to right now. So if you're interested in becoming a media sponsor, please reach out to us. If you're interested in becoming a coffee sponsor that we normally would have, please reach out to us. Again, we always want to thank the SBDC and the Better Business Bureau for everything that they do here in the community and how they help bring us all together. If you guys are first timers joining us, please comment in the chat box, and that way we can keep a record of who is new and who we have joining us. You know, obviously online, we want to try to get a head count and see who all is with us today. So make sure you guys are doing that as well. And then, obviously, Facebook, Instagram. You guys are on our Facebook Live right now. Make sure you follow us. We have 1 million cups on all the channels. We do post our videos on YouTube, so we will be sharing these in other areas as well. So make sure you guys go on there so you can see any past presentations that we've had. And then for community announcements, Joe, do you have any announcements for us this week? Nope, you're on mute. You can't do it, huh? Okay, no worries. Well, do you guys have any community
announcement? Can I jump in really quick?
Yes, ma'am.
All of you owners, business owners, solopreneurs, small business owners, the CARES Act just was signed into law last Friday. There are a ton of financial resources available to you underneath 2 separate loan programs. Get in touch with the SBDC. Ekta McCoolier and her team are ready to help you understand those financial options. There's loans, there's grants, there's forgiveness programs. There are a ton of resources for us to leverage off of to keep our businesses in play. So please reach out to the SBDC and her team so you can make sure you're aware of all of your options in today's economic environment. Thank you.
All right, cool. I've got some brief ones real quick, just an update in case you guys have not heard. The Pikes Peak Region Small Business Week has been moved. The food truck cook-off, the workshops, and the award celebration are now going to be held July 26th through 30th. The food truck cook-off tickets are already purchased. They're still going to be, if you've already purchased it, it still will be honored for the new date. So just a heads up on that, that's moving. And then Reach Pikes Peak is also doing a food pantry. They're handing out food boxes. If you guys know anyone that needs, it's Mondays from 10 to noon at all 3 of their local locations. You can find details on their Facebook page and obviously at reachpikespeak.org. And if you guys have community announcements, what we're going to be doing to kind of keep track of those right now, on Tuesdays we'll be posting here on our Facebook page, asking for you to send those in so we can feature them on Wednesday's virtual meeting. So please share that information with us if you have it. So any other community announcements? Jeff, I think you had one. No?
Go
ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, if anybody is grabbing food from restaurants that are still operating with to-go at this time, numbers just came out yesterday, like 330 restaurants have closed their doors permanently, and about 60,000 restaurant workers are laid off right now. A lot of our places here in the Springs are actually doing tip splits with workers that aren't even working to keep money coming in. So if you're buying food locally, please make sure you're tipping and keeping those people, you know, these restaurants are still giving it to their employees, keeping them afloat. So it is helping even with the ones that are laid off.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move into our next presenters. We've got Tim and Brownie Richardson with Hope Advanced. Tim and Brownie, go ahead and unmute yourselves. We're ready for you. Okay. Whenever you are.
We're good. Hello, everybody.
All right.
We're Tim and Brownie Richardson. We'll just repeat ourselves. We're the founders of Hope Advanced. And in this 6 minutes, we just want to share the why of what we're doing. 1967, I was a 17-year-old senior in high school. Depressed, suicidal. Not everybody knew that. I did, though. And somewhere towards the first part of my senior year, things were not going well. I was going to end up with 3 Fs, 2 Ds, and an incomplete. So as you can tell, I was not going to be the valedictorian. And I had a conversation with my dad, and that led to he and I making an agreement that if I were to go into mental care, okay, not get locked up, but go into counseling, and if that didn't work, he'd sign off and let me go in the military, because I didn't have enough guts to kill myself, so I thought I'd just go defend the country and get killed doing that. Yeah, normal teenage thinking. But anyway, in the course of that, I had a circumstance that caused me to step into a small chapel in the facility I was in. And now you're going to wonder if you want to hear the rest of the story or not. But I heard a voice. And that voice told me, said, Tim, you're to live if for no other reason but to help other people. Well, that changed everything. And today, Brownie and I, this beautiful lady beside me, are moving toward that. In 2017 and 2018, I'd been encouraging a ministry that was being developed to help people coming out of various addictions and problems in life, get them into job training, spiritual training. But that ministry didn't go anywhere. And then in 2018, I heard that same voice again. Yes, I do hear voices. So if you ever spend any time with me, I may make those references. But I heard the voice say, this is your ministry. And it was referring to what these other people have been trying to do. I'm not the guy that steps up to the plate and says, let me go lead this. I'm the guy that stands up and wants to stand beside you and help you do whatever you're doing if I believe in it. I'll clear a path. I'll stand with you. I'll do everything within my power financially and otherwise to do that. Well, but it got laid in my lap, and that voice I recognized, and I just said yes to it. So in 2018, that's when that started, and the idea for Hope Advance developed. And we are a nonprofit ministry, and what we really want to do is tell you a little bit why we got involved in this. It's not because we got a PhD in it or an ABC or an XYZ or any of those things. But it started with a cousin of mine whose son in 2006 watched his dad die in the driveway after they'd been on a run of a massive heart attack. The kid was 12. His name was Kyle. Over the next 10 years, from 06 into 2016, he was out of rehab 15 times. Alcohol, drugs, and his last rehab was what was called a forced rehab. He got caught stealing stuff from his girlfriend's parents, and he was put in jail for 6 months. Well, he got out in September 2016, December 2016, he went down with fentanyl and meth overdose. Became a vegetable for all intents and purposes, and Kyle just died last February in his sleep in the nursing home, which he'd been in for over 2 years. Real sad story. Everything that was done could be done correctly for him was done, and it still didn't take. Then in December of 2018, so that was just a year ago this last December, a good friend of mine called me early December and said, did you know my daughter Megan? Well, Megan was here in Colorado Springs. She was the mother of 5 children, 5 boys. She's 33 years old, and they'd found her 10 days dead in her apartment in Manitou Springs. At age 30, Megan went off the rails. We discovered later it was a marriage issue, but she went off the rails, drank, drugged, through rehab several times, had in November of 18, been with her parents around Thanksgiving, and everything was fine. She was divorced and estranged from her family, but she was cleaned up, had a job, had an apartment, but shortly after that went home, fed the cat, cleaned the apartment, and drank herself to death. And after 10 days, they found her, which means they didn't find much. Now, I know that's really dramatic and sick, but that's how some of these things end up. And the last story I want to give as to the why we're doing what we're doing is a guy named Tim, not related to me, up in Denver 5 years ago, had a car accident. And that accident led to him being on opioids. In 2 years, he was on the street. Dad found him, his dad, got him into rehab, paid 30 grand. 6 days later, Tim ran off. And so did Dad's money. And then shortly after that, Dad got him into another rehab with a strong Christian influence, apparently. that took. Everything went well for him. He is now managing 2 stores for Home Depot up in the Denver area. Great success story, except he went through rehab with 45 guys. Only 2 survived and 43 are dead. So that's the why of what we're doing. Hope Advanced wants to work with people that are coming out of their messes and get them to their best life. And we are looking for collaborative people to collaborate with on that, and we're done. 6 minutes is up, I think. My wife's got a timer on me.
I love it. Rihanna usually interjects, and she's like, time. Didn't even have to today. That's awesome. Thank you, Brownie. You are so all over it.
Yeah.
So, Sam, how are we looking on questions? Do we have any questions so far in our chat box?
Nothing yet, but I'm sure some of our organizers here have a few.
I actually, Tim, tell.
Oh,
Go ahead, Bob. No, go ahead, Bob. Go ahead.
So Tim, you and I have talked about this a bunch, and you know my son's on the street, and I mean everything is.
Yeah.
So talk about this. I know you're a nonprofit. Talk a little bit about the business model behind what you're doing. So because you're going to need funding, you're going to need, so tell us a little bit about how you're looking at moving, because you've got an amazing way with people. You just absolutely do. I just love what you do. But talk a little bit about your funding source, how, especially in today's nonprofit arena. It's pretty tough right now for nonprofits. Well, talk a little bit about that with us.
Okay, let me address the dollar sign first, because it doesn't take a lot of money to do what we do, okay? It takes time, effort, and some funds, but as a nonprofit, we are underneath New Horizons Foundation. They're right here in Colorado Springs. They represent over 650 nonprofits, and because we are a member of that foundation, every dollar we might receive, 95 cents goes directly to us. They keep a nickel for all the accounting and legal, okay? So we're not a 501c, but C3, but we are treated just like one, okay, without any exceptions. But to go farther than that, our vision for this, Bob, is we help people get connected to the right places they need to go in their lives. We want to be one of their major connections for job training and jobs. And in doing that, we now have formed officially a nonprofit, non-tax exempt corporation, which will be an umbrella for all the for-profit enterprises we want to do. Rather complicated answer, but what we want to do with those for-profit entities is have them fund everything that we're going to do with Hope Advance now and in the future. Because we don't want to do this just here. We want this to go as far and as wide as it can possibly go, because the problem exists literally everywhere.
Got it. How you holding up, Tim?
I'm doing good.
All right, good. Heather had a question for you. Can you expand a little bit more on how you actually provide your services to the public?
Yes. As we're introduced to people, and we've got various sources we're working with right now. We're working with one prison ministry and another one that's associated with prison ministry, not only dealing with these kind of people, but as they come to us, hopefully this is a good way to answer this. We sit down individually with each person. Now sit down, zoom down, whatever we've got to do at this point in time, and do what we call it as a discovery process. They discover who we think we are to them, what we can do for them. At the same time, we discover who they are, what their mess is, if we could say that. And by the way, I need to add this. Here's what we're not doing. We are not housing people, we're not clothing people, we're not feeding people. But we are working with them on their life's issues, and we will transport them at no cost to wherever they need to go. I'll throw that in. One, there's no cost to them, not now, not ever. The door has a handle on it from the outside, so we need to find out who they are as they come in, but they're never locked in. They don't sign anything, etc. Did that answer that in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, I think you're good. Tell us where people can donate right now.
Right now, they can go to they can contact us and we'll walk them through it, or they can go to newhorizonsfoundation.com. And at the bottom right of that face page is and I've got to think of the terminology, I don't have to pull it up here, but the various, it's a project, Hope Advanced. Put in the project name, put in the United States, and then it'll go in A to Z and go to H, and we'll pop up, Hope Advanced. Also, you can go to Your Hope Advanced, which is our website we just turned on last Friday, and it will walk them through that. And or they can directly contact us and we'll walk them through it. And we can take any value in kind working with New Horizons. So if you've got stock, you've got land, you've got money, etc. Okay? We are someone, if you're literally looking, you agree with what we're doing once you get to know us, etc., and you want to really do this in whatever value you have to bring to the table, that's one of the reasons we're with New Horizons Foundation. We are able to work with 99% of anybody that has value.
Tim, thank you. You and Brownie are doing such a beautiful service for our community. I've had the pleasure of getting to know you guys over the course of almost a year now. We even had the opportunity to write our business plans together, which was a really cool opportunity.
Right.
One thing I absolutely love and adore about Hope Advanced is the employment aspect. And I'd like for you guys to talk about how you guys are bridging the mental health, the treatment with future employment opportunities, and what you guys are doing yourselves about that.
Appreciate the question, Rihanna. What we're doing and learning to do is what I should say. So once we determine where people are, is getting them to the right places, because this is not about us, this is about them. And since we don't have official retail for-profit businesses in place right now, obviously we're not directing them to us. But some things are actually, we have something happening right now as we speak. But anyway, and I hope this answers your question correctly, because we're looking at a particular location right now, and in that location we want to put a thrift store, laundromat, restaurant, bakery, catering, and several other retail businesses, and that's where we want to get people involved, and then we want to connect all the dots underneath our nonprofit corporation so people know when they do business with us, this is all going to the right place. In the meantime, as we discover what people need in their lives for employment, etc., we may be taking people to triage. Okay, they may need to go to Mount Carmel, but they also may be going to workforce development, which I might add is also a member of New Horizons Foundation. Okay. Trying to get them to the right places. So we're still learning how to do that. We still want more connections. I won't say much more about that. I hope that answered that some way.
Tim, thank you so much. I have two questions for you. One is from me, one is from Ernesto. I'll ask Ernesto's first. How do you work with other conservative healthcare professionals when it comes to those with physical pain and the injuries that have led them to addiction?
Good question, and we thought about that. We haven't had any direct things there yet. We want to collaborate with those people because we're not those people, but we need our members, as we're referring to them, to know these various resources. So we would love to collaborate with them. We want to know who they are, and we certainly want them to know who we are.
Perfect. I know Ernesto's probably somebody who will be a good connection for you then.
Got it.
My question is, once somebody has gotten into a program, say they need help getting to work, you offered rides to treatment. Will you help them with rides to and from a job so that employment and those other exterior or external factors that lead to relapses can help be mitigated?
Sure. Because that's the big issue, isn't it? It's great to know, here's my plan, and here's where I need to go here, and here. Well, that's great. How are you going to get there? Well, we can get you a free bus pass. Well, that in 10 cents won't buy you a cup of coffee if it's not going to get you where you need to go when you need to go. So we've already purchased a vehicle which we intend to have used for those purposes. Okay, of course, I can take anybody anywhere in my personal vehicle now, especially if I'm not charging them anything. In fact, we just had discussions yesterday with a guy that we know very well that is in all likelihood going to be the person in charge of that whole thing. And so the answer to your question is specifically getting him to a job on a regular daily basis may be something we'll have to figure out, okay? But it's certainly not anything we want to ignore, because that's so often is that people can do things, but they got to get there, okay? We don't want to give people fish. We want to teach them how. But sometimes, you got to give them the rod and the reel and the tackle box and show them how to do this. So, yeah, very definitely that is on the table as something we want to help.
I think Brandy queued me up, so I will ask, as you're talking about these things, and maybe you have a good insurance agent, but for me, I know my insurance for my business fluctuates depending on what I'm doing. So how does that work for insurance if you're not, like if you're transporting and
Right. Good. No, that's a good question. I am an independent insurance agent by trade, okay, which does not make me an expert. I just know who to call to get those answers. So as an example, let's say we have Mary and we're working with Mary, and Mary needs to get the workforce development, and then she needs to go here, end up at Social Security, and we transport her 4 or 5 times. Well, number one, there's no cost. And at this point in time, I can take her in that vehicle anywhere that I decide to. I can even give her my vehicle if I want to. It has nothing to do with what we're doing at that point. But if we're going to do this on the basis of a whole lot of regularity, then we've got to remember the insurance company needs to know what's going on. So we would commercially insure that vehicle for transport conveyance of people, okay? So, and that's pushing a few buttons actually, but right now I don't have to be concerned about that, but yes, that you would have to correctly insure that vehicle for that kind of use on a regular basis. Otherwise, I'm just being nice and taking them, and that's okay.
Right, gotcha.
Very cool. Hey, Tim, I got a question real quick. How many people have you guys put through the program?
Well,
or
that's
have you
the
helped
question.
at this
We're
point?
really brand new at this. I've got one right now, but he's sequestered in the facility. He can't get out of. He's not in jail, but he's coming out anyway. And we've been working with him via phone because he doesn't have computer access. And we've had a relationship going on for several months now. And interesting enough, because of that, there's several people he's bringing to us. And I don't know those of you who know Danny Morales with Red Oak Exteriors, but Danny and I and Brownie have just secured a relationship that's probably going to see several people coming through that. The others coming through out of prison, that need the kind of thing we're doing. We can't make them do it, but we believe we've got 5 people coming on board next month. So to tell you historically that we have this big track record would be incorrect, but the fact is we've developed material already, and as we get with people, as you can imagine, everybody's situation is different. And that's why we do this discovery process, because this one particular individual we have now, his name's Bob. Bob is highly intelligent, highly skilled, fully employed, but he is severely dyslexic. I wonder how many problems that's given him in life, a bunch. And he's lost millions of dollars, but yet he's a great guy, but he needs help at another level. I hope that answered that somehow.
Well, Tim, it has come for that time. The super special questions. So, what can we as a Colorado Springs community help and support you? What can we do as a Colorado Springs community to help and support you?
We are looking for rock solid connections. I mean, everybody, maybe you know something that we don't know. Well, that's great. We'd like to know that connection. But if you have a sincere interest personally, or you know someone who likely does, or already know that they do, we'd like to get connected. This is all about building relationships. This is what we do with people. That's how this is going to survive and thrive. And that's what we're looking for, is those connections. on any level. Somebody that's looking to give a nickel a month so they know it's going to a good cause, but more importantly, somebody that really cares about the failure rate of people coming out of life's messes. That's what we're trying to do here. We use all kinds of fancy words, recidivism, mitigate, blah, blah, blah. But we want to find people who have hope coming out of their mess and help them move forward. So anybody that somehow is connected to that thought and mission, we'd like to know those people.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for your time today, Brownie, Tim. It has been excellent chatting with you. We really appreciate everything you guys are doing here in the community. Thank you so much for helping others and putting others forward ahead of yourselves. It means a great deal to us as a Colorado Springs community to invest in other people. So we greatly appreciate what you guys are doing out there. Again, we will post Tim and Brownie's information for Hope Advanced in the comment thread. Make sure you guys find them online. Reach out to them if you have any questions, if you'd like to donate, anything like that. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in and joining with us, Tim and Brownie. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for presenting today. And we'll get your mug and all that good stuff to you guys as soon as we can. So that's coming your way. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. We really appreciate it. We're so glad to finally be back on track and finally have some presenters back on track. If you'd like to present with 1 Million Cups, do not forget to apply online at 1millioncups.com/Colorado Springs. Make sure that you put in all the information in your application so we can reach out to you. If you'd like to know who's going to be presenting, make sure you sign up for our email. Our email is through MailChimp. You can find it right on our Facebook page. It's a little sign-up link. And I know we usually post that as well, so you guys are informed on who's going to be the upcoming presenters for the week. As always, we want to thank the warehouse, which we would normally be at. We are looking forward to getting back in there obviously sooner than later. So hopefully we'll be seeing each other all in person very, very soon, guys. That's really all we have today. So we thank our sponsors. We thank all of the community for tuning in. Thank you so much to all of the organizers, for you guys being online today and helping to contribute to this wonderful presentation and bringing the community together. So you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.